Get ready to meet the woman who turns audio anxiety into authority while juggling her marketing leadership position at Shure, world tours, and motherhood without breaking a sweat. Laura Davidson's here to reveal why worrying about your expensive mic might be your biggest mistake and share the real secrets to professional sound. Please welcome to Dealcasters, Laura Davidson. Hey, Laura.
Yay! Hi. Wow. Okay, first of all, that new intro I was sitting there like, I know them. Oh my gosh. So I feel very special being included on the show. And I don't know how it hasn't happened before now because I know you guys and we've talked so many times. And well, anyway, I'm just really happy to be here. So
I think it was that we're like, you're so busy because of not only your position with, this amazing microphone company called Shure, which I happen to be using a Shure microphone, and no shameless plug there. And I know Chris is as well. And I think you might be using one, Laura. I'm not sure. And then of course,
I am.
You've got the podcast. You've got, we're talking about you have a child that you apparently have hidden away for a little bit so you can have quality time with your spouse. So,
Two kids.
The fact that you're able to fit us in today, we're pretty excited.
Thank you. No, I'm so happy to be here.
I think one of the reasons why, Laura, is that, even though, I consider you a friend, we've spoken many times in a business sense and out on the town in Chicago, as well. I feel like I can catch up with you personally because you have a podcast, and I really wanted to talk about that a little bit. And I think a lot of people, when they see Laura Clapp Davidson, they know that, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this woman doesn't just sing, she sangs. She can sing, okay? And so just outstanding singer. By the way, do we have a date on the new album?
Oh, no, Chris, we don't.
Okay.
It's coming.
I'm sorry to bring up a sore topic.
No pressure.
It really is because my friend is producing it, and he is a brilliantly talented musician, producer, engineer. But he, like me, works for Shure and has a family and a full-time job. So it gets time gets tight. So
sure. Yeah.
we've recorded several songs, and he is making them incredible. So there's no date, but I did just learn of a new tool that I'm going to be getting us signed up for, which I signed up for, called Boombox, which I don't know if you guys have heard of that.
No.
Chris, learning about your past life at Sony, you might be interested in this. So it's basically a tool where it's a website that stores your files. So let's say musicians are notoriously disorganized. I'm saying that about myself.
No.
Some of you might not be. But when we're making and recordings and storing all of our ideas and wanderings and projects and whatever, they can get a little bit lost, especially when you're trying to collaborate with someone across the country or even next door. So what it allows you to do is collaborate, store your files, share them easily, and also put them out there to try and get jobs and get feedback. Nice. So it's it's a really fascinating platform. That's about all I know about it so far because I haven't really gone into it yet. But I think it's just a great way for us to keep each other accountable. So I'm hoping that will get things moving along. Fingers crossed.
So it has like a social aspect to it. So you're basically like, here's my band, so to speak. Here's my producer. Here's everybody that I allow into my circle. And you're sharing files back and forth as opposed to sharing Dropbox links and things like that type of deal.
Yeah. And you build your community too. So you could put out, let's say you're writing a song and you go from like conception all the way through till fully produced track. It'll track your version history all within one spot. So you can see how it evolves and have this community that's joining up. Oh, nice. James chiming in. Hey, James, what's up? And having that ability for people to say, I like this beat. I like this sound. Do more of this, do less of that. It's just a collaborative kind of thing. So I'll let you know how it goes. I'm diving in.
Nice. So speaking of feedback, and back to song 43, because I'm not going to let you get away from that. But one of the things I do love about the podcast is how just, I know people toss around, authenticity, words like that, vulnerability, things like that, but you know it when you hear it. And I do hear it. And I love how you're open with your audience and you just kind of say, hey, let me know what you want to hear. Let me know what your feedback is on this. Let me know this. Let me know this. And I think a lot of people, ourselves included, are sort of reticent to ask for feedback from our key audience, from the people we know that we're at least trying to serve. And we're just kind of like spitting content out and just hoping it sticks and throwing it over the fence and not really going, hey, is that what you want? Is this what you want to hear, kind of thing?
Yeah, that's
and
so
I feel
true.
I feel like on your podcast, you do a really, really good job of that. And so I just wanted to just maybe start there and talk about Song 43 and, just ask you, what does the Song 43 podcast mean to you?
So the Song 43 podcast is something that I started because I was, during COVID, teaching people how to podcast and live stream, and I didn't have a podcast. And I felt like a fraud. So I had some other ideas come to me, like I was going to do one called Songs from the Everyday, which was basically interviewing people and then writing a song based off of the interview, which I tried and it was too much. It was too hard to do. And so one day I just listened to the advice of all of my wonderful creator friends like you, and I just pushed record and then published literally from a plane on my way to the NAMM show out in Anaheim. And yeah, it just became this kind of way for me to keep track of what I was doing. I have taken a break from it right now because I realized I wasn't putting enough content out that I felt really proud of. Even though it is a stream of consciousness, I was like, I need to take a minute because because I just wanted to make sure I wasn't repeating myself over and over again. But when I hit that 100th episode milestone, it was huge for me because I'm one of those people who like starts a journal and then writes in it for 5 days. And there's like 75 of those around my house. So to be able to say, I did 100 episodes and bring exciting guests on and just share stories was really liberating. So it's meant a lot to me for consistency, authenticity, like you said, and just having that kind of outlet and way to track where I was going. So I still love it and I'm getting back to it. I think I might change it up a little bit.
Yeah, even some of the things you've said on the podcast where you're like, hey, I think I've said this before and I don't feel like I want to repeat myself. And I know there's some sort of ChatGPT that I could do that probably, and so you're probably right. But just hearing you say that, I think I don't want to say people are forgiving. It's okay to actually say that. Like, I think some people are just afraid of like, I messed up. I could have said that. Whoops, and just kind of move along. And it feels like it's all done in one take. Do you do it all in one take, or just very
100%?
Okay,
100%. It is me.
Awesome.
Stream of consciousness, just going for it. Even when I've had guests on, we've just had a conversation. I interviewed my mom twice, which was super fun.
Oh.
My drummer came on, my producer that I was talking about, and we just talk. And yeah, the editing is really minimal, taking out filler words using my favorite tool, Cast Magic, Descript, not Cast Magic. I do love Cast Magic, but Descript has been a lifesaver and made the editing lift light. But I know myself and I know that I have to keep it light or else I'm going to get very frustrated because I don't have any time. So yeah, I look for tools like that to make it super simple and then just going for it.
Nice. So 5 years then with Song 43 and over 100 episodes. So congratulations.
I think it's less. I think it's 3 years, maybe. I don't even know if I don't think it's 5.
Oh, okay. So you said COVID. So I was thinking 2020, but it was
2020. 2020, we hit COVID and I, had to start, instead of going out and meeting people for Shure, giving these presentations. And that's when I met the lovely people at eCam and, just started teaching people these things. And then I was like, I don't have a podcast. I need one. So I think it was, I should know this, but I think it was 2023. Maybe it was 2020.
Well, there's a ChatGPT thing that will tell you that.
There is. See, yeah, this is why I need a virtual assistant too, to like keep me in line. But anyway, yes. So 100 episodes plus. But I think I've got a new podcast idea brewing
Oh,
to talk about and shed light on musicians who are where I am in life, in my 40s or more, beyond, where we've made all this great music in our past lives, or we're currently making music. Because one of the questions I get a lot, and I've said this on the podcast before, is, "Oh, are you still making music?" And it's like the worst question you can
yeah,
ask a person.
right.
It's like, "Am I dead or something?"
Right,
So
exactly.
starting a podcast that shines a light on my awesomely talented friends who are making incredible music that you may not have heard. So
Mm,
that's what I think I'm gonna dive into next and
I
call it,
love that.
midlife musician. I think it's what it's gonna be
Nice.
called. You're
That's
hearing it
funny.
first on Dealcasters Live.
Breaking
Wow.
news. I'm
Yeah.
I'm not going to hit the sound effect, like the whatever. I don't have it queued up here, but I love that concept, and I love the fact that before you started your sort of business in terms of making your way to Shure, you were at other companies as well. TC
Mhm.
Helicon, I think, was
Yes.
the company before that. You were a musician before that, and certainly a musician before you were a podcaster. And one of
Mhm.
the things that, myself being in the industry, also a musician, and then, moving myself into the podcast world, I'm curious, what have you learned about now, here you are 3+ years in doing a podcast. What have you learned about podcasting that was seamless because of what you learned?
Oh,
And then what new things have you learned that you're applying back to what you do in terms of your music and your industry knowledge?
I think I've learned so many things about video tools, editing tools. I
Yeah.
mentioned Descript, I mentioned Ecamm. I didn't know what those were pre-podcast, pre-pandemic, to be able to produce yourself like you're seeing right now on Dealcasters. That is such an empowering gift and tool. And so I've applied that to my music as well, because I actually, during COVID, I think it was during the pandemic, I asked my husband for a gift, of a subscription to this thing called Monthly. I think
Mm.
maybe it was called Studio at the time, and it was this amazing program with Ryan Tedder from One Republic, and it was a songwriting thing where you join with people from all over the world, and you take this course that Ryan Tedder has pre-recorded. So I wasn't like sitting on a Zoom call with Ryan or anything, but he teaches you how to write 3 songs that you're gonna release by the end of this 30-day course that you're taking with people around the world, and I learned so much in that 30 days. I learned more than I did in my 4 years of Berkeley in terms of
Wow.
music production, and it changed my life, and it's how this whole album kinda got kickstarted too. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I'm a
No.
tech geek, and so I love it. I love bringing it into every aspect.
I think that's a lot, like someone that has sat for hours and hours and hours working on their vocals, working on their chords, working on, their arpeggios, the modes, like understanding music theory, even if it's like getting a YouTube video up and learning tabs and all of those things,
Yep.
is spending hours and hours and hours. There's something about going through that process that when you open up the script or when you open up Ecamm, and that people that haven't had that experience prior go, holy crap, I quit. There's no way I can do it. I'm not a quote unquote tech person, right? And
Yes, so
and
true.
and that, and because you had, I mean, obviously when you were a musician, you recorded your music in some way, shape, or form on some device or used some
Yes.
software, right?
Yes.
Like,
I used a 4-track. Remember those? Like, when
oh
that was, like,
yeah,
all the
Oh,
rage?
still got mine.
A digital 4-track, and that was
Oh,
like, "Whoa," that was so fancy. And then my computer, yep, I don't remember what my first interface was, but yes, and the struggle was always so real because we didn't have that ability to just go to YouTube and be like, "How do I record guitar?" Blah, blah, blah.
yes.
So,
mm,
you would ask friends, you would phone a friend, right? So that was great. But then when I got asked to demonstrate for TC Helicon, that was my kind of first entrance into this side of the business. I was terrified because as a vocalist coming out of Berklee College of Music, they don't really teach you the tech side of things. And that's one of my biggest bones to pick with vocalists in general too, is that we don't really take ownership of our instruments because they live within our bodies. So learning that tech and then having the power to be like, I know how to run a live sound situation. I know how to record myself. I know how to mix myself. It's been like, yes, because it's intimidating as hell. But I think now I'm so grateful to have the ability to ask and phone friends and go to YouTube. Oh, there I am in 2009. Whoa, that is a much
There we
younger
go.
version.
There you go. Working for TC Helicon and doing the demonstration.
Oh, yep.
Do you miss those
Yep.
days at
That's
all? Were you having as much fun as you are now?
that was such a different kind of fun, and absolutely. I mean, getting up there, that particular show was
Mhm.
grueling. I think in 2010 was even harder because I had to do a demonstration on that stage, and then I had to run around to the other side of the booth, which was like 40 feet long, and do another demonstration. So I was demonstrating for 40 minutes, an hour,
Jeez.
and for 9 hours? It was a lot, but I was young. It was fine. It was fine. So yes, I missed that. And that got me a gig as a backing vocalist for Howard Jones, and I got to tour the
Oh,
world,
wow.
and I got to tour the world with TC. So it was, yes, it was super fun. This is a different kind of fun, the gig that I have now, and I love it.
I want to know about your
Wow.
touring with Howard Jones. That was on my list. So you went
Oh,
there. We got it.
I mean,
Mm.
yeah, some people are like, who the heck is Howard Jones? Because it sounds like your neighbor or something, right? But like in our generation, we're like, yeah, Howard Jones. Um, 80s artist, started in
Sweet hair.
1983.
Sweet hair.
Sweet hair, yes. He still has sweet hair. He's legendary. He is still touring and crushing it. Uh, and yeah, I got asked to tour with him because I was using this TC Helicon vocal harmonizer called the Voice Live that could create 8 voices of harmony, 4 technically, from one voice. So he was able to, because he's always very technically cutting edge. Like he always wants to be on the forefront. So yeah, 3 of us went out and created a full band sound and a full choir with just me on voice. So that was super fun.
Awesome.
Wow.
And we've got a question here that I know you can answer for us, Laura, from Davidson's All Natural Gym. Can we find your music on YouTube?
Yes, you can. Although I have 2 YouTube channels, which I have to consolidate into one. But you can find me under Laura Clapp, Clapp. That is my artiste name and my maiden name, if you're playing along. So if you put Laura Clapp into YouTube, you're going to find lots of product demonstration videos, and you're going to find lots of Song 43 podcast videos. There you go. That's it. And my music, if you just Google it, will find lauraclapp.com is the best place to find me and videos and music and all those things. There you go. That's it. That's where the most recent stuff is. That's where all my shows are listed. My full catalog is on there. Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome. And for those of you who are only listening and maybe not watching, it is Laura Clapp, CLAPP.com, where you can listen to Hey Hey Sister right there on the, and also the Song 43 link is on there as well. Lyrics, videos,
Yes.
images, all the things. We have another comment here from Alan DeBay. I knew a German sound engineer and a Czech one too.
Well played, Alan. Well played. That is
So,
great.
so Laura, I've got a question, especially thinking about that 2009, experience for you. Is how have you seen the change in that? And I think that's where, what Shure is doing with audio is so important. How now you don't have to have like all this equipment and these huge studios to produce sound. How have you seen that change? And, just the ability to even in a sense be mobile and create things. And I think even a couple of your Song 43 podcasts, I think, weren't you even almost like just doing it with your phone?
I was doing it with, for those watching, with the MV88 Plus stereo condenser microphone which I love. And then now we've got the wireless version of it that pairs directly to your phone. So yes, Jim, I have done that. I also travel with my MV7 Plus, which is what I'm talking into right now, which is a USB XLR hybrid mic. So I love that one because, I can plug it into an interface, or I can plug it into my computer, or I can plug it into my phone, and it's really mobile. But yeah, the MV88 Plus, for those wanting something that's super small, lightweight, portable. Yeah, it's very key. I love this little guy.
I haven't gotten used to like holding it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just one of those things. I know that was a thing and probably still is a thing. Now I'm seeing people holding the wireless mic with the dead cat on top of it too, and holding with the furry dead cat. And I'm like, you realize you're pulling all kinds of attention away from, your eyes, like what you're saying. Because everybody's like, what is that furry thing in front of their face? This is actually like right in between.
Yes, and I like, so the Move Mic 88 Plus, which we're both holding, the wireless variant, it's got like a nice enough handle to it to where you can do like man on the street kind of stuff and feel a little bit more authentic, if there is such a thing. But yeah, I'm so with you. It's interesting holding like a little block, like if I were holding
it triggers me a little bit personally. I'm like, why are you holding this wireless micro? I mean, I guess that's also why I like the Move Mic, because I can just slide it in, and with this black shirt, and I have the LED off. It's like, you can't tell that I have a microphone.
I know.
Look at that Move
which,
mic.
I know. So that one's really small. But I think what it comes down to, Jim, is also the fact that people don't trust that this little mic is going to pick them up. I think that's what I've witnessed. And they think that it's going to rustle too much. And some of them do, but this one, especially, like Jim said, it's so small, like you could get it just way up close to the source. And that's the key. You want to get your mic as close to your source as you can, because they don't reach out and grab sound. You have to bring the sound to it. So yeah, I think that's just kind of the thing. Plus, it has become kind of the aesthetic for some of the videos with the tiny mic going back and forth. But I'm with you. I want to clip it on and not think about it.
Well, and I think, like Chris says, I think then you lose the focus of, you're not focusing on the person. You're like, why are they holding that? Because like, I can move my hands around. I can be, more demonstrative. Is that a word, Chris?
That's
Jim, you're using all the big words.
As opposed to demonstrative.
Yes.
And so too, I think that, so then it kind of throws you off. It's like, you want people to focus on you. Like right now, when Chris changes some of the views around, right? We're focused on your message and you, and that's like, why is she doing this or that? And I think that's what people forget about. But I think, if anything, all this stuff has made us realize that the most important thing in video is audio.
Yes. Yeah. So true.
Yeah, and I think, listen, if I'm going to have a choice between somebody holding a furry dead cat in front of their face and not having a mic and listening to like terrible audio, it's give me the furry dead cat 100 out of 100 times, because, and I think this is a good segue to talk about this, because I think a lot of people are still maybe in that, we have this curse of knowledge, Laura. We've been in these industries, and we've been musicians and worked with microphones and all of this stuff, and we think everybody should know about mic technique, and everybody should know why you should be using a dynamic microphone in a certain situation, and why a condenser microphone is better in a certain situation. This conversation we just had about a lav mic and all of these things. And most people just can't, just give me the one thing and whatever. So I wanted to roll it over to you, because I think, you see it on all fronts. Like, even with all this, like, what would you say is like maybe the biggest mistakes that you're seeing entrepreneurs, creators sort of make specifically for audio?
I'd say they're wanting the camera or the microphone to be out of their shot for some reason, like die hard. And so they're expecting the microphone to do things that it can't do. So if I move this even that much further away, you hear the difference in the loss of audio quality, and it becomes thin, because microphones are, again, designed for you to go to them, not for it to come to you. So I think I'm seeing that a lot. People really want that off-camera option. So what I usually guide them towards is the lavalier option, whether they use something like the Move mic that we were just talking about, or a more professional lavalier, which I don't have within arm's reach, but it's much more thin and it gets wired up through the back of your shirt, which you'll see on professional broadcasts. Shotgun microphones, a lot of people think that that is going to solve your problem, but a shotgun is not a microscope. It's not a telescope. It doesn't reach out and grab the sound. It will block out more of the space so that you're not hearing your room as much. But it doesn't pinpoint your audio. So I think that's one of the other mistakes that I see. So if you can tolerate having a beautiful microphone like this in your face, I don't know why you wouldn't want it to be, that's going to be your best audio experience. We do accommodate for it a little bit with our microphones, but don't fight it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe it's been somewhat normalized with the rise of podcasting in these latest years? I mean, we see a lot of people sitting around tables with headphones and SM7Bs in front of their faces on a lot of big podcasts. Do you think that that's helping to sort of normalize that, and people are people are more comfortable with that? Or are you saying, like, listen, people are still wanting it out of the shot?
I think it's a bit of both. I think that the SM7B has definitely become kind of the thing you think of when you're thinking of a podcast. But I also think that there are still some podcasts that would benefit so much from being able to have a microphone that allows them to be more flexible and versatile, where like the Move Mic 88 Plus that we were talking about is so great because you could put this on the center of a table standing up and put it in what's called mono bidirectional mode, which means you're going to take the right and left microphone and capsules and put them in between you and your speaker, your guest, and just not think about the microphone, and it's going to pick you up really quite effortlessly. Now, you can't be like 3 feet away from it, but you can at least be having a conversation like this, and you're not going to have to be right up on it. So that's good when you have guests who have no microphone technique, and no matter what you do, if you put a set of cans on them, they're still going to be over here, and you're going to be like, what are you doing? So there are some that make it a little more forgiving. And in that case, if you do have a guest that is really microphone shy, just put a lavalier on them if you can, because that will make your life so much easier in post, and let you have a more flowing conversation where they're not trying to, be on the mic and, so.
Well, and I think I love how you mentioned shotguns, because I was gonna bring that up, but they tend to be more expensive, right? And so like you said, you went right to the lav as a second option for people who don't want that microphone in the shot, and it's less expensive to do that in most cases.
Sometimes,
So when you're talking to somebody who's more budget conscious, but they still want that. They want the quality, right? There's that whole balance of like, I don't got, the $400 for this mic, and then I got to buy, the preamp for it, and I got to get an interface and all of those things. Right. What do we say to those folks in terms of, number one, if you want to sound better, you got to invest a little bit, right? And then we always tell people that, like, you can't sound like this for $50, right? You can sound good.
Some will argue that you can, but they are wrong.
Okay, let's talk about it then. Yeah,
they are wrong. No, I think there are affordable solutions, and I'm not saying anyone should break the bank. Like, let's not get me out of context here, but. Yeah. I always tell people, if you are making the time commitment to start creating and start putting yourself out there, you are worth spending the money on yourself, if that makes sense. Yeah. Because think of how much groceries cost right now. Think of how much going out to dinner costs, and we do it, right? Groceries are one thing, but like going out to dinner, not a necessity. But would you think twice about spending money on dinner out? What if you just, maybe skip that 2 or 3 times, then you could afford the mic that you wanted.
There you go.
I don't know. I like framing it up that way. The MV6 I was going to grab, and it's like buried in a bookcase right over there. And if I try to get it, everything's going to fall out and it's going to be really bad. But the MV6 is a really good option. for those who are more budget conscious, it's a USB-C microphone. See, now I have to grab it. Hold on a second.
That's good.
Don't
That's
go
cool. Now we're gonna pull in a few comments here.
Okay.
James, you're right. When Laura speaks, you should listen. And because she uses really good sounding microphones, you can hear her. She is clearly understood. So that's thank you for that, Dr. Hicks. And Laura, you'll be happy to know that Alan DeBay, who had the greatest dad joke of all time, purchased your music on your website.
Thank you. That's so
That is
awesome. Thank you.
Now
I
you
hope
can buy
you
dinner.
enjoy it. I know, right? Now I can, yes, buy eggs. No, I can't even buy eggs. This is not what the MV6 looks like when you get it. My windscreen has apparently been eaten by the bookcase, but it occasionally or essentially looks like this without the added. It's more streamlined and matches. Wow, I swear I work for Shure in market development, and it comes with a stand, which is amazing. So this is our most budget friendly microphone, and it's USB-C, and it has a headphone out on the back, so that you can monitor in real time. Because that's the other key. We were talking about this before the show, and I was like, I'm not going to monitor. And I was like, I can't do that. That would just be horrendous. So that's a great option for those who are wanting to get into the game, are maybe a little shy about, spending the money on the SM7B or the MV7 Plus. But are you like in the Amazon? I'm like picturing you going to the carousel right now, like Jim's like,
this is good, Laura. Keep him dancing. This is
Okay.
great entertainment for me.
I love it. No, but the MV6, to focus on that for a minute, it's $169. So it's, again, I'm not saying any of these things are quote unquote cheap. We never call our products cheap. They are affordable. So you can get into that realm. It's got auto level mode, meaning if you have no idea how to set your levels, it's going to do it for you. You can monitor yourself in real time, so you can hear yourself talking, and you can route your guests through it so you can hear them talking. It's a great microphone, and it comes with a stand, like I said, so you don't have to buy anything else. So I would recommend that one for those who are just getting into it. But the MV7 Plus, I've always been a fan, and it comes in white too. Look, I just have this one, just chilling, just at the ready.
There it is. Look at her. She's surrounded by like everyone is so jealous. You're surrounded by these great looking mics.
Microphones everywhere.
The MV7 Plus is my favorite USB microphone, but it is also an XLR microphone. That's the SM7DB that Laura is showing.
I just can't.
Keep Jim dancing. Keep him dancing. This is
it's
glorious.
Like, wait, which one is it? But well, and I think too, though, and Chris and I talk about this all the time. People frame things the wrong way. They say it cost, but it's an investment. You get one of these microphones, if you take care of it, it will last for years. My brother, who actually has a podcast, Laura, that, maybe you would talk with him about, it's called Behind the Beaten Tracks. He's a musician in his 50s, but he's had an SM58 since he was 17.
Yes.
Great podcast mic.
Microphone.
Great mic in general, but a great podcast mic.
I have a Beta 58 here.
It's a Beta.
Those
okay.
It looks like this without the blue. Yes.
But, I don't think I'll ever need to get another microphone other than, I have I don't know what it is, Chris. We get all these wireless mics. I don't know why. It's like, oh, let's see what this one sounds like. And it's like, but I still want to go back to, I like the Move mics because I can have two people. Now, maybe and I don't know, Laura, you can tell us when it's going to happen. It would be nice to be able to have like 4 wireless mics that all connected together.
That would be cool.
And maybe that's there,
which
but that's
we do.
probably...
Oh, God. All right. Wow. We are back. Thanks.
I missed you so much. It's been so long.
I know. I had a massive computer crash. We were talking, or Laura, you were talking about the Move mic.
I was talking about Move mic because what sets this apart, because we were talking about, Jim had asked about 4 channels of wireless, which you can easily do with other Shure wireless systems. Like what I have over my shoulder there, I have the SLX-D, which you could do that. The BLX, you could do that, which is an entry-level wireless system. But that works on a more traditional UHF setup. Okay, so these are 2 channels of wireless that pair directly to your phone with no receiver. What does that mean? That means I push this little button, I pair it to my iPhone. I push another button, I pair the other one to my iPhone. And then I have 2 guests talking and recording with nothing else. So that's the kind of hiccup there. But you can have 2 sets of move mics with the receiver going into your phone or into your computer, Jim. So that dream can come true.
So this is going to be, I don't know if I'm calling it geeking out a little bit. So you may not be aware of this, Laura. We maybe have talked about it. So my wife is a freelance court reporter. And so one of her biggest challenges is getting audio from different parts of the courtroom. And a lot of times, right, courtrooms don't think about, how to soundproof. And so that's where sometimes she wishes she had a better system to be able to put, wireless mics in different spots. So,
100%. That's not the first time I've heard that. So yes, a wireless system can definitely do that. And Shure makes these incredible conferencing systems that are actually specifically made for not only conference rooms, but courthouses, municipalities that have all these cool features where you can highlight specific speakers when they talk. It can make their mic active, and when they're not, it turns it off. And their boundary mics or their gooseneck mics, which are those things that you see on a podium that come up and have the little like ball in the top. That's a gooseneck mic, aptly named, looks like a gooseneck. Thank you, Chris, for modeling. Yes. If you could honk like a goose, that would be just really put it over.
I got to work on my goose.
My night is.
I need some vocal training to work on my goose technique.
I don't believe that. So there are options for that, but yeah, Jim, if you're wanting multiple channels of wireless, the best way to go is to use a traditional UHF system, like what they use on concerts.
Right. Okay. Interesting. But that probably gets a little pricey.
Oh yes, it gets more pricey very quickly. But then you have ease of use. Oh, and by the way, Alan, major shout out to Alan, because he did not just buy my music on my website. He bought all of my music on my website.
Wow.
So I am
So you can retire now.
Yes.
Retire for the evening.
$10 whole. No, I mean, honestly, thank you, Alan, because nobody does that. And nobody really knows as musicians, we all stream and we listen to our music that way. I'm guilty of it. But if you purchase directly from the artist, that's the best way to go, because then we get the most percentage of it. So thank you, Alan. I really appreciate you.
Do you also put your stuff up on Bandcamp? I know that there's a higher share there as opposed to...
There is. I don't have a community on there. Maybe this could be the start of it. I'm on Bandcamp with like one song, and Mario is crushing it on Bandcamp. His artist name is M_Len.
Yep.
And he does great on there. I'm like, I go on there, it's crickets. I don't even know how you find people on there to sell your music to. So I should do that. But now,
I'm glad you brought up Mario, and I know we're on the music thing here for a while, and we're gonna make it all. We're gonna wrap it all in a Shure related thing here as well. As my computer right now, you have no idea what I mean. There is all kinds of stuff happening, but at least we're still on the rails.
It is on fire, basically, is what you're telling me.
Yes, there are flames going. It's like that meme where the dog's in the middle of the flames.
Yes!
I'm fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Yes.
So you brought up Mario, who we absolutely love Mario, and he also works at Shure, and he does a dark wave project called Mlen, which Laura had mentioned. And it was one of the things that I loved so much about Shure is that it seems like everybody is doing something musically or content creator wise, not just for the sake of doing it, it's because they are. And it's one of the things that drew me to it so much is because y'all carry the bag, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, it's not something that is just, hey, this is just my job. And, let me just read the spec sheet on this particular Cardio 8 microphone with the, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a real, like, you guys understand what is absolutely useful for content creators, what is absolutely useful for musicians. And on one of your podcasts, you talked about how you did this big anniversary show where you flew in and you orchestrated this entire thing. And you were a part of this huge thing, which was like you were in 3 different bands. You were like a huge part of it. but the whole company was there practically, right? I mean, wasn't there like
Half. There
1,000?
were 1,500 people there, and we're 3,000 plus employees, and then they carried the party on in the other regions. But like, yeah, 1,500 people in this awesome venue outside Chicago, and yeah, the talent was
Wow.
off the charts. Good.
That's it. And so like I think you said like the CEO plays French horn or trumpet.
She does.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, so like that just
We Are the World. She played with 2 other French horn players. We had 3 French horn players on the stage at one time playing We Are
Wow.
the World.
We Are the World with 3 French horn players.
Yes, not 3 French hens, but 3 French horn players. Yes. There was like this beautiful orchestrated thing that the guy Rogelio who put that act together, I think he arranged it, and it was just like, what is going on? It was so great. It was so great.
That sounds like just an amazing and fun company to work for sure. No pun intended. That just came out, and as soon as I said it, I was like, come
everybody
on.
does that.
Can't bring it back.
I do it. I
can't unsay that. So here's another thing that I wanted to talk to you about, Laura, was you seemingly do so many things well, right? But we know like you're also vulnerable and kind of saying, well, I couldn't do this because I should have done this and whatever. But you have got your priorities, right? You've got your family. You've got and that feels like the number one thing like that you prioritize. But obviously, you have a big job. You got to put on your big pants for the big job, right?
Yep.
But you also have this huge passion for music, and you also do the podcast. So you're checking a lot of boxes. What's your time management situation like? How are you able to do it? You mentioned you filled out like 2 pages of a journal. Like what is your? I mean, is it just like, are you drinking water out of the fire hose, or is it like you just?
Sometimes it feels like that. Yes.
Okay.
I try to set boundaries. I'm trying to get better at that in terms of, this is my time for my family. This is my time for me. Because that's also super important. If we lose that, it's no one else, everything's going to suffer. And then, work is work. So I have a job where sometimes that in being gone for a week at a time and across weekends. So it's just prioritizing communication. And the creativity can often be the thing that gets the back seat. So having that regular cadence of Song 43 was very helpful for that. So I'm getting really excited to get back into that, because my family would be like, oh, it's Tuesday night, you have to record your podcast, right? Because I, as being a crazy person, would record, edit, and publish on the same night, because it was only me talking at myself for 15 minutes. So it was very easy. But they knew Tuesday nights I would go disappear for a couple hours, and now I'm excited to get back into that. So I guess there's not really like a method to the madness, but I just read this, sorry for the noise here, this book called Atomic Habits as part of a management journey that Shure sponsors, which is so cool. And I took little bits and pieces of it. So when I write I do have a journal now that I've been doing since October, which is the longest probably ever. And it's a Shure branded journal. And even if I just write 1 sentence a day, that is my atomic habit. And it says on the thing, tiny changes, remarkable results. And so it's all about like building that. So I'm trying to give myself some grace to realize life is really crazy right now. It's not always going to be like this. So I'm trying to be present as much as I can when I'm doing these different things. So that was a long-winded answer.
No, you know what I loved mostly about that is that you brought up the book Atomic Habits and made Jim dance again into the carousel to add Atomic Habits.
Oh my gosh.
Chris,
yes.
Chris, there's only one issue with the carousel, is because Amazon didn't come back on.
Oh, it didn't. Oh.
So there's no more dancing.
Curses.
Oh, dancing. I will say, as a shout out to, if anyone's on Spotify and pays for the membership like this sucker does, you can listen to Atomic Habits for freezies, which I loved, because then I was able, while I was doing all the 47 things that I do, to listen to it in between stuff. So it's free on there. If you have a premium
I love that audiobook function that they have. It's I think it's limited, I want to say to, I think 20 hours or something like that a month.
That makes sense.
Something
I don't
like
think
that.
I don't have 20 hours a month to listen to anything, so that's fine. But, yeah, I listened to it and I really enjoyed it, and I'm trying to plug it in wherever I can.
Do you think that being a musician and going through the process of being a musician as compared to a content creator, stay with me here because I was just thinking about this. So when you're a musician and you're preparing for a gig, you're loading up your gear, you're stuffing it into your van, you're traveling an hour to get to the venue, you're loading it in, you're preparing all of the stuff. You do this huge show, then you strip it all down, you load it up and you put it in, all of the stuff and then make it all the way back. And then as an independent musician, probably not a lot of money. Every once in a while you're going to get a gig where it's like, hey, this is how, that feels a lot like a content creator who's spending hours doing this, wondering what, instead of wondering if they should restring their guitar, maybe they should get another USB cable for this, or maybe they should do this for a microphone. Like talk about that. Like, is that, how am I off here? Like, it feels like a lot of the same thing. If you're a musician, it's like, how do you keep that gas tank full? Like, what keeps you going to say, I'm still doing this podcast, even though I might not be making very much money on it. I'm still going to create this content, even though who knows how many shekels I'm going to get from YouTube AdSense or whatever. Like, what keeps you going as a creator, either as a musician or a podcaster, pick one.
Yeah, for me, it's if I'm not creating, I'm miserable. So I've never approached it from the standpoint of making money, except when I was fresh out of Berkeley, living in Nashville, trying to make it, whatever that looked like. I was very focused on making money from music, getting all the gigs that I could, etc. But now, because I have a job that supports me, I do have the flexibility to create for me, which is so liberating. And even with the podcast, I never set out to make money, which I don't from the podcast. But side note, but
well,
I'm
you did
able
tonight.
to.
You did tonight because somebody bought
I
your music
did.
from
I
listening
did.
to the podcast. Well,
I
not
did.
from Song 43, but anyway.
Not from
sorry.
Song 43, but from your podcast. So thank you for that.
So you'll be on every week then?
Yeah, every week. So yeah, I guess because it doesn't have to be about the money, I am able to do it and do what feels right.
Yeah.
But for creators, it's such a grind, whether you're a musician or you're creating content regularly. That's even more of a grind, in my opinion, because you're chasing the likes, you're chasing the analytics, you're figuring out what resonates with your audience and then pivoting all the time. And then the algorithms change. Like, I watched our creators like Sean Daniel, who you met in Chicago, amazing creator. The YouTube algorithm completely shifted seismically recently. And he's like, yeah, so we're kind of figuring out what to do next and how to get back on track. So I think when you make music, unfortunately, the rates for musicians have not changed much since I've been doing this.
Right.
So I'm never going to be making tons of money from my music. But I think it's a slog no matter what you do, and you just have to really be in it because your heart's in it. And then the rest should come a little bit easier, and then hopefully the money would come if I were focusing on that, but I'm not. So yeah.
Yeah, you, like, for you, your whatever your KPIs or whatever, or what gets your juices flowing in terms of your musician journey could be somebody just letting you know how your music has helped them, right? Or
100%.
It's like you forget immediately about whether or not that person paid $12 for a CD or or downloaded your album, or whatever. So I think, like, that's gotta feel, like when you're grounded like you are, I think that's gotta be what keeps you going.
It definitely does. But having, moments like today when, like, I can tell you actually listened to a few episodes of the podcast. That's so gratifying to know that people are out there listening and taking something from it, because you just feel like you're talking into the void. Podcasting can be really isolating like that. Um, but yeah, what did James just say? Let your 9 to 5
Let
do
your
what?
9 to 5 support your 5 to 9.
Yes, that's a great way of putting it.
Either
James
that
is
or
always
he's
prolific.
Either
That's a lot
that
of
or he's
math.
5'9". I don't know.
Yes,
I don't know. I
that
don't know
too.
which it is. And
I
we
think
have a
he's taller than
question.
that.
We have a question from Davidson's All Natural Gym. As you create a song, do you ever think this song is for radio, or this is for a live show, or this song is made to be added to a YouTube or TikTok?
That's a great question. And when I was writing in my younger days, yes, I was absolutely thinking, not about TikTok, obviously, but thinking this is going to be a hit, or I'm writing this to be something. Whereas now I just write because it's gratifying, and I'll take any time that I can to be creative and have that opportunity to focus on that for 5 whole minutes. So then I kind of categorize it. So after it's been created, I don't tend to write with a purpose unless somebody commissions a piece.
Has your job at Shure ever affected the way you write a song?
I don't know. I guess not for sure, but for TC Helicon, yes. I actually wrote 2 songs because of demonstrations that I needed to do.
Oh, okay.
So my wedding song was written because I was working for TC Helicon and I needed something that would be a good full harmony demonstration. And then another song that I wrote about my husband started because I wanted to do a loop, and we had just come out with a looper, and I added multiple layers of harmony, and it started as I was prepping for a trade show, and then a song came out. But no, I don't think so. Not for sure. I don't think.
Okay. Well, Laura, you have spent a lot of time with us, and even through the computer crash of 2025,
crash.
The great crash of 2025, I do want to ask you one final question, and we asked this of a lot of folks, and I think you are absolutely going to knock this out of the park. But if you were to talk to one creator who's completely paralyzed by perfectionism, like they just want that, they want to sound like, you. They want it like right now. They're hearing your voice and they're like, I want to sound that, but they don't feel like they're just good enough right now to start. What would you tell them?
I would say that you're wasting time that could be spent sharing your message. So even if your tech isn't there yet, your message is, and people want to hear from you. So if you stop second guessing and just put something out there, the momentum can be really easy to maintain from there. So just be kind to yourself and start. Just start.
I love it. I love it. And okay, finally, I'm having all kinds of fun back here. I don't know what is happening. My screens are going nuts, but you know what? Laura Davidson, you landed the plane. Ladies and gentlemen, go to lauraclapp.com, CLAPP.com. Listen to Song 43 podcast. It's awesome. I have a lot of fun listening to that. That's how I catch up with you, Laura.
I love that. Well, I'm going to get back on the horse this week, Chris. How about that? I'll put it back out. Starting back up.
Awesome.
Of course, you can always go to. Let's see if this works. No, it's not working. This is okay, here we go. Now we're having fun. We are running with scissors live here.
You could go to
Dual
Hicks
Casters
News
Live.
Media.
We could go to
You
Shure.com.
could learn about James Hicks. He's amazing.
All these amazing products are available on Amazon. Are here, but Shure.com is where you can go to learn about all of this fantastic stuff that we talked about and more. The most amazing mics that we've ever spoken to, and the most amazing guests that we've ever had on Dealcasters. Laura
Wow,
Davidson,
that's you
thank
tell
you
it. You
so
say
much.
that to everybody. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really
thank you for making our show better today. And as always, to everyone, don't fear the.
Oh, there it is.
Let's go. Let's get hype in the house here. You know what?
Hey, Chris, Jim, great to be here. I'm excited to break all this down and talk products and the whole deal.
Our friend, the amazing